Hello, in this video I would like to walk you through the activity entitled Is Climate News Overwhelming? And let's debate about that. So why we propose such an activity? Because from floods and fires to droughts and famines, worrying headlines about climate change often dominate the news, and this is having an impact on people's mental health, particularly young people's. So students will consider different perspectives and debate about how much climate crisis news is actually too much, and then they will hear some expert advice about how they can cope with eco-anxiety. It is suggested for 10 years old and older, and the whole structure takes around 90 minutes. In this activity, students work in pairs. It is fitting for a class size. You need some big size papers, maybe some post-it papers, a projector, and some printouts. So the first printout that you will use is this picture of a busy place. So you introduce to the pairs this picture depicting many people. It's quite busy. And you ask them to track in this page how many ways might people be reminded about climate change in a normal day, and which of these incidents remind them of their own life. Well, actually, as a hint, there are more than 25 incidents in this particular sketch. So already they are introduced to the topic of climate change, and through the many ways we come across it in our daily lives. They hear an expert through a video, a 3-minute video. They hear an expert about what is climate anxiety or eco-anxiety, and how they can deal with it. The video is in English language, so probably you will take longer to view it with your students. You may need to pause and reflect or replay it a few times. And then to personalize understanding, you ask them some debrief questions. So they fill in 3 sentences. When people have eco-anxiety, they might feel how come that according to Google the searches worldwide of the terms climate anxiety and eco-anxiety have increased 4.5 times in the last years. And also eco-anxiety is felt by people around the world. However, people might have different experiences of it, and that might be because so you give them a few minutes to fill in these questions individually, and then you come to the next step, which is assigning the roles. So we have in the activity developed 12 cards. Students with very short text. Students read their cards. So each pair is assigned a role, and from now on the students act in their roles. So we have 12 cards, but you can develop your own in order to add context. So you can add roles from your local context. And you're welcome also to add complexity to the characters. So, for example, we have 2 climate scientists in the roles that we give, but you will see that they have varying opinions as to climate news. And then to deepen in the role, we ask them which of these sentence starters are they most likely to say. How might they finish these sentences? So this is something that they do in their pairs. They finish these sentences, arguing why eco-anxiety is good or bad, or can be useful in some cases. And then the pairs can move around the room to meet the other characters. So they meet the other characters, they introduce themselves, and they focus on their discussions on the topics of climate change and eco-anxiety. So they find points that they agree with another character, they find points that they disagree with another character, and most importantly, they consider why it might be good for their character to listen to another character point of view. So in this step, we actually cultivate active listening and valuing the perspective of another person. And then the teacher presents a prompt to prepare the debate. The prompt is: there is too much news about climate change, and the characters either agree or disagree with this prompt. So we have we split the room in half to those characters that agree and those that disagree. Be aware that even similar characters may have different opinions. For example, a parent may agree or disagree with this statement. And after we have split the class, we give them some time to develop their arguments. So why they agree or disagree, why their characters think about that. What happens if people focus only on negative news, but on the other hand, why it is helpful to hear bad news about climate and alarm people that don't think of climate change at all, maybe. In the next step, they introduce themselves, they make their point, so they develop some arguments, they explain why they agree or disagree, and they invite the next speaker to respond to them. This cultivates the debating skill and also valuing different perspectives of other characters. So after you give some time to the debate, and after it finishes, so after all students have developed their arguments and express them, it is time to step out of their roles, and outside their role they listen to another video from an expert that explains what people can do to cope with climate anxiety. Again, this video is in English. You may need to pause or review it several times. The last step in the debrief step of the activity, we come back to the picture of the busy place, and each student finds a character, some figure in the sketch, and share with them a piece of advice that they heard from the video. This last step, this previous step, was actually the evaluation, but also we propose some metacognitive questions you can ask to the teachers, such as: how did you find hearing and defending views from that are different than yours? Why is it important to ask questions to evaluate the different perspectives, and how you could use what you practiced today in another context? Of course, we ask these questions outside the roles. Some final tips for the teachers. You're welcome to use another video in your language, as long as it is straightforward, it is kids friendly, and it is short in duration. And also the picture of the busy place. From our part, we advise that you reprint it in a big size, but this is if this is not possible, alternatively you can project it in a big screen. Here are some more news about us, and where you can find us. Thank you very much for following the presentation.